Hello and welcome to another edition of In Between Pages with James Lott Jr. I'm your host, James Lott Jr. And we are here on YouTube. So if you want to say hello or anything, say hi. Here we go. So we're here. There you go. This is JLJ Media, my online network. I've over 35 shows, different kinds of shows on here. So please check one of those out. And of course, I have music too. You can go anywhere, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere, Pandora, Tidal, wherever you can find all of my music. And my latest album, Salvation is Possible While Dancing Your Way to Heaven. So it's a great little album. Some people are playing it, so I'll take that. But I'm sorry, somebody who's way more talented than I am, but he has a gap in his teeth like I do. You get to mind the gap. That means we're smart and sexy. That's what my mother says. She has a gap in her teeth too. I'm so happy because here's a song I'm going to play for you that I am obsessed with right now, and literally it's in my life. Some of my like songs. The group is Blak Emoji, or the collective, I should say, is Blak Emoji. It's him also. He has an EP that came out called Intro in 2017. He put out during the quarantine. He wasn't quiet, sitting at home doing nothing. He put out a avant electronic instrumental album called Antidote, and he has a new album coming out, literally coming up October 1st. It's coming up. We'll talk about that too. I'm very excited to have my new friend Kelsey Warren of Blak Emoji. Hi, Kelsey.
Thank you. How's it going, man?
Good. I want to mention everything. It's Blak Emoji and Kelsey Warren. It's everything. But Blak Emoji, so Blak Emoji is you, but it's also your collective. You have other musicians, and just explain that a little bit, please.
Absolutely. Well, this whole thing, I kind of started it like in a vein of like a Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails type of thing, where he's Trent, but you know, it's kind of, he is 9 Inch Nails, or him and Atticus Ross now, and people like that, Anne Clark is St. Vincent, and so it's just it's a band, but it's also me. I usually do the recording myself at home, and musician here or there depending on the album or the project, and then live I do solo shows, but the main live collective is usually four people. So it's the band.
We have some good points, because like Blondie, Deborah Harry. I mean, everybody thinks of it's her, but it isn't. It's her and it's the band.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of one kind of thing. So it's a mixture of both, but it's you all around. I mean, a lot of it it's something you started. You write, you produce, you're a multi-instrumentalist. How many instruments do you play?
Well, how many do I play well?
Okay. Well, yeah, okay. How many do you play well?
I would say about 10. I'm not counting like, cowbell or tambourine. No disrespect. I'll say percussion. But yeah, about 10.
Okay, that's very good. Yeah. Before we get to this stuff, I want to hear about your musical background, because I'm a little older than you are, but I grew up listening for the 70s and 80s, I grew up all kinds of music. So my influence, I put out 7 albums, and every album is different, and it's all influenced by stuff. Cool. So I feel like you just mentioned Trent Reznor in one breath. You mentioned St. Vincent, which is somebody I like also. So what is your musical influence? I mean, who do you like? Everybody? Did it range, or was there certain genres that you were drawn to?
I'm a Prince freak.
Me too.
Yes. You are my people.
Yes.
I've learned so much from listening to that man and his music. And just everything, just his production, his philosophy on life. There's so much I've gravitated towards as far as Prince and his music and his whole aesthetic, and I was like that kid, and he would drop something in an article like, blah, 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 Joni Mitchell. Then I was like, I got to get Joni Mitchell. And Cocteau Twins. Like, I got to listen to Cocteau Twins. And the cool thing, that's a beautiful thing that, just like what you're just saying, like you might have an album that sounds like this and an album that sounds like that. I love that about Prince. Purple Rain doesn't sound like Around the World in a Day. Around the World in a Day doesn't sound like Parade, but it's a common thread of sound with this man, but they're 3 totally different albums and they're different trips. And the fact that he was like, yes, I love Miles Davis. I like Cocteau Twins. I like what Pearl Jam's doing. Like, he was naming people all across the board. And that's pretty much how I grew up. Most of my favorite bands and artists I look up to are kind of multi-genre. Led Zeppelin, Sly and the Family Stone, Parliament Funkadelic, and 9 Inch Nails, big time. Trent and Prince are like, I've learned so much just from listening to their music. Oh my, that's one of my cats.
You check that. You check that out, folks. Everybody's just live. Everybody's just live.
I don't know what's going on in there. I don't know.
That was crazy. That was crazy. I love live. I love live. I love it.
Damn.
That was loud. Cats get into things. They do.
No.
They do.
Sorry about that.
I love it. I love it. It's so crazy. We have our own little gift going on right now. I hope the cat's okay. I hope whatever they knocked over is okay. That's fine. I want to talk about. Okay, first of all, you mean two-time Oscar winner Trent Reznor?
Yes, two-time Oscar winner. I love that. Make sure
we say that.
Yes,
two-time Oscar winner,
deserved,
and Oscar winner Prince.
Yes, both of them.
Also, yes. I want to talk about Prince for a second. Well, actually, I'll do Trent Reznor for a second. It's really interesting for me when Johnny Cash does the version of "Hurt," which makes me cry every time I hear it. And I tell people who don't know this, I'm thinking, does anybody in the world know this? It's a Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
They're like, it is.
I know, especially like the young folk.
Yeah.
the youngins.
Yeah,
like, I like this Johnny Cash song. I'm like, you like this Johnny Cash cover, but what he did with that song, even Trent was like, it's not my song anymore.
Yes, it is. Right.
Like, it's brilliant. Like, how much of, like, awards are great and it's beautiful, but I think it's more of a reward if you have someone like Johnny effing Cash cover your song and make it iconic for another life again. Like, his version, it's the first version already, or Trent's version is incredible. It's brilliant. Everything from the sparse production to the conviction in his voice. And this man did it. And it's like, oh, damn. Like, it almost sounds like it was written for Johnny Cash.
And I think that, to me, why I think you and I are drawn to people like that, because it's universal. It's one of those things that if a good song is a good song.
A good song is a good song. It could be hip hop, it could be industrial, it could be country. A good song is going to surpass genres. Period.
It is. Period. Now, Prince, I followed since the very beginning. And folks forget, he came out with these disco-fied R&B albums. The first two albums that we saw, Prince for You and Prince.
And Prince, yes.
Naked on top of a horse.
Yes, a horse.
With the feathered hair. I had the same feathered hair.
You had the Farrah Fawcett going on.
Oh, yeah. That was you go, Prince. And Prince challenged gender. He challenged, he was like, I remember, okay, it'll probably make you laugh. So MTV was new. And they didn't play any black artists at first. And that's one of the stories.
That's
when
true.
When they finally started playing Michael, then they started playing Prince.
Right.
But Prince's early videos were very performance videos.
Yes.
Like on stage. So I remember seeing the opening of Automatic. It's just
the few times they played that, right?
Yeah. But I remember going, is that a chick?
I know, right?
But he did. But the thing about him was he would dress soft and tell you how much he was going to take your woman.
Yeah. He was comfortable with his sexuality. That's basically it. He was masculine as hell, but he embraced the feminine qualities. And it's like, what? And that to me, for the only, like, post Bowie, he was the guy that did that. And especially like in the Black community, it just didn't happen often. It still doesn't happen often. And it's not an easy thing to get away with. And he was that dude that was like, he'll wear all the makeup in the world, but watch a girl. Because she's going to go home with him.
Women, they're all pretty. So like, he wasn't, there's no joke. I mean, Vanity and all them, they were beautiful.
Gorgeous.
No joke. She leaned on. But I love that with him also, his style changed. He went from, the disco-fied kind of R&B stuff. He did new wave on the Dirty Mind album. He did still did new wave. Like Controversy was really playing with that stuff.
I love that album.
That album's the bomb.
That album is underrated.
I agree. Why do you think it's underrated?
I don't know. It's kind of like that 1999 couldn't have happened without Controversy, because Dirty Mind is brilliant. I think it's like his most fun, most raw, like funk, punk, new wave album ever. And it's like Ramones. It's literally like 30 minutes. I love the essence of that album, but it was like you needed something like Controversy to get to 1999 because Dirty Mind had like this raw band sound that embraced synthesizers, but there was something about Controversy and what happened with the synthesizers there and mixing it with funk that took it to another level leading up to 1999. Controversy, the long version, is one of my favorite Prince songs ever. There's like 4 different melodies going on there, and 2 of them are with the bass line, and the bass lines are just dancing with each other. Let's Work, arguably one of his funkiest bass lines ever. Do Me Baby, one of his first like slow jam R&B tracks that Black radio gravitated towards, that wasn't even a single. Anti-Christian, which is one of the most bizarre avant-garde new wave things he's ever put out. So I don't know why that album isn't mentioned as much. Jack You Off is on that album. It's just everything.
Ronnie Talk to Russia.
Ronnie Talk to Russia.
I mean, they're not talking. You're right. It's not, that album is, I mean, it's kind of ignored. It's funny because there are other albums that he does. We know the big ones, obviously, that are always mentioned. But like the Gold Experience, I love that album. Came out later.
Gold Experience.
That one gets talked about even more than Controversy does.
I don't understand that. You're right. You're so right.
The Black album gets talked about more because that was a whole that whole mystery about that. But that album gets talked about more than Controversy. Right? Controversy just seems like it's lost in the shuffle somewhere.
It is, yeah.
And I know it's one of the points you just said that. I'm like, I agree with you. Totally underrated. Completely underrated.
By far.
I mentioned Blondie, another group that has something that did disco, did reggae, did the first rap song with number 1.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was Rapture, basically. I don't when you sit down to compose a song, what comes first usually for you?
I can't answer that anymore. I used to say, it depends on what time in my life. It used to be lyrics, then another time it would be music. I would say the past several years, music first. It's the chicken versus the egg syndrome with me. I get ideas for lyrics, but the ideas I have sonically come faster now. I think it's just because I'm in another life of discovering new sound and making new sounds, and I'm just obsessed with sounds. And so I think I'm experimenting more with sounds than I am with lyrics, and the lyrics are coming later, or something will happen to me and I'll be like, oh man, and I got to write all this down and get it out of my system. And then that becomes a song, or sometimes they just stay poems or unfinished works too. But I would say recently, the past few years, music for me.
Interesting. For me, it's lyrics.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's like that now, or was there a time in your life?
Now. I think it's now, because it's funny you're saying this, because now I'm like I said, okay, it's a therapy session, everybody. So Dr. Warren,
tell me about this. Yes.
Because you're right. Now think about when I first started, it was music. I would dream music. I would dream melodies. I would dream a beat. I would dream, and then the lyrics would come later. And now, for me, last couple of years, it's just, I'm writing all the time. This I'll tell you about. Everybody get a little behind the scenes. In this book, I have all these songs.
Oh, cool.
So I have songs. I just have songs. So these are songs that came to me first. These are all undone. I haven't recorded any of these, but they're just songs. The lyrics come first right now for me. And then every once in a while, I'll dream a melody or something. And I'll wake up, do the whole thing at 3 a.m, grab my phone.
Yes.
And voice recorder. I'm all, no, let me out. Okay.
Yes, that's what I do too.
And not even rap, it's all rapping, let me out. And I go to sleep, And I wake up in the morning. So what did I record last night? I'm like,
nice.
But there's something in there. I see it. There's something in there.
Nice.
It's very interesting. But for you, so it's music. Are you listening to a lot of music right now from like all over the place? Where are you finding your music these days?
I'm not listening to a lot of stuff now because I'm racing against time, trying to finish mixing like 2 more songs for this album that's coming out in less than a month. But I've heard some stuff. I'm a little behind, but what have I been listening to recently? See, I'm blanking out.
That's fine. I
could cheat. I could cheat real quick.
I was going to say, but you bring up a good point. So, folks, I've told this before on other shows. Putting together an album is not easy as you think. The fun part is actually coming up with the songs, being creative, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But then you sit down. For me, I don't know your process. You know, actually, I look at your process. For me, a lot of times, I'll have a bunch of songs recorded, and then I start to piece them together to see what story I want to tell on an album. Every album, every EP, every album, it all should tell a story, right? So some people, it's not easy. And then you're fixing the songs, kind of going, let's remaster that one. Let's do, you're trying whatever, because now you decided that's the look I want. That's that's the feel I want. But tell me what, it's not easy, is it, to put together an EP or an album, is it? No.
Everything you just said is what I'm going through with this album. You know, it's
so
like,
sorry.
It's it's a pain in the ass, but the process is fun, but it's kind of like I'm just battling myself all the time. This is a 12-song album. I finally have the 12 songs, but I would say 8 of those songs were consistent throughout the last whatever year and a half it's taken me to do this, and the other 4 have been rotating. I pulled a song off last minute last week, literally, and replaced it with a new song because something happened, and I was inspired to write, and actually the lyrics came out first for that, and and I was like, this is really good, and I'm gonna put it on, and it's gonna replace this. But that's what's going on. I've had the time, which is great. I love working at home. I love having the luxury to just wake up at 2 a.m. and just start recording, or work till 5 in the morning and not have to worry about bothering another engineer or paying someone else, and not worrying about the studio. My studio's here. So it's great. I love that. I love that I have the time to marinate on shit. Oh, excuse me. I don't know if I can curse. I apologize.
It's fine.
Okay.
One comes out every once in a while, it's fine.
However, the fact that I do have this luxury means I'm taking my time a little too long, and it's kind of like, all right, man, it's time to or get off the pot, or you're just gonna be going back and forth for like another year or two. So you have to have a little bit of discipline, and I've put the discipline into this album a little late, but now it's pretty much ready to go.
I know what you mean, because I remember I was finalizing this last time I just did, and 2 songs I wrote the last minute, but we finalized it. You know, had the album cover art, everything was done basically. But it's 2 songs like, and now I wish they were on the album, kind of.
Yeah.
But I had to let that go and go, you know what? They're good. The album's good. But what I did is good.
Right.
Good. As a whole, I'm happy with it. It just, these songs didn't come fast enough. It's just like,
that's exactly what I didn't want to happen with this. And I was like, you know
so
what?
Good. So make sure you choose it. Make sure you choose it.
I put them on. There's 2 songs. I put them on there. I didn't want to do them as singles later, which you can do now, but this happens all the time. When Doves Cry was a late addition. Smells Like Teen Spirit was a very late addition. That wasn't even going to be on that album. And that broke a movement. That song broke a movement. Like, and it was a last minute joint.
And I had explained to the other day, and you probably know this already. He goes, my friend's like, when Doves Cry is a different kind of song. I go, there's no bass in it.
Yeah, it's just the most
songs in the world has no bass in it. There's no bass in it.
It's the most bizarre #1 song in American music history in the past 50 years or something. It's so bizarre. It's just bizarre. The subject matter, the sound of it, the guitar solo. It starts out with a guitar solo and it ends with a keyboard solo. There's no bass in it, and it's just like these weird sounds. It's not like there's chords. It's one of the most unorthodox pop songs ever. I don't know if that would make it to `1 today.
I don't know either. Well, I mean, I'm too old because I don't know what a Cardi B is or I mean, it's a little Nas X, so I don't know what's going on. I'm just like, what's going on? I don't understand. Give me where's Luther Vandross? So he's dead. Okay.
You haven't heard the new Drake album yet? No?
Here's what's funny, kids. Everybody out there, I know who Drake is. I know who Kanye is, clearly.
I like Drake. I'm a Drake fan.
Well, see, I had nothing for or against Drake. I mean, I remember him on Degrassi.
Yes.
I did Jimmy. No, but I just over the years I've liked a few. I like his song Michael Jackson. I actually liked that from a couple albums ago.
Cool.
Get the Michael Jackson vocal. I was like, it's kind of cute. Yes, songs that I've liked. I can't say for or against them. Kanye, I was a huge fan of. The first 3 or 4 albums.
Oh, forget it. I was a Kanye freak.
I mean, sonically, those albums are like ahead of everything else.
They were amazing. The man did what Stevie Wonder did with albums in the 70s. Kanye did that with hip hop. He really did. He had like 4 or 5 great albums. I really appreciate that he's always pushing the envelope and he's trying something new. I just don't think his ideas are that great anymore. I'm not going to spend the whole time talking about him, and to each his own. And people that love Kanye, and that's beautiful. Yeah. But it's hard for me with the whole, I can't. It's just.
I know. I'm with you.
I can't. Once the slavery was a choice in supporting the most white supremacist president in the world, just dead. Yeah, like that was dead to me.
I agree.
And then I was like, okay, well, at least if the music was still hitting me like it did with my dark fantasy, then I would have a struggle. But I don't have a struggle. I don't really gravitate towards the new material. So for me, I love the old Kanye, not because it's the old Kanye, just because just the music speaks to me more up until Yeezus. Yeezus had some great stuff in that and some stuff that wasn't that great for me.
Yeah. I'm the same. I got exactly the same. I say again, it was good music. It was
damn good music, you know. Just
it was good. It was good music.
Incredible.
So I agree with that. And Drake, I mean, he's doing his thing.
Drake is doing his thing. He's very popular, and what he does, it works. He's got a good formula, and I appreciate what he does too. I'm definitely more of a Drake fan now, just because I still like a few of his songs. I still like what he's doing.
My thing is hip hop has always been presented as a young person's game. I'm happy to see folks have longevity stuff, starting to have longevity in it. Even for me, Jay-Z, he's my age, and he's still putting out stuff that's relevant. And
that last Jay-Z album, it did well, but to me, I was like, this is how you age as an artist in the world of rap and hip hop. This album is going to get another light. It's kind of like what people didn't really listen to the Sex Pistols album until like 10 years later. I have a feeling like that's something is going to happen with 444. It's a brilliant album. And Nas's new album is great too. Nas's album is slamming.
I know.
You know. They're doing it, and they're doing it right. It's old school, but it's contemporary. It's kind of like they found the clothes that fit now, and they're wearing them in a great way sonically. I love it.
I'm glad you're bringing that, because there are artists that just, again, I feel like an old guy. There are artists who do put out albums. I'm a De La Soul fan, and for years they're putting out albums that were still wonderful. They weren't hitting the charts.
Right.
They were some of their best albums. You know, you listen to it going, this is some of the best music I've heard in years in hip hop.
Their last album was great. Yeah,
it was great. They did stuff with Gorillaz. They did stuff. I mean, they're moving around.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that like that. It's like there are people out there who are doing amazing stuff and doing collaborations and guest spots and putting out albums that just don't get enough attention because they're not in thing anymore. Yeah. But hip hop is one of those weird genres where it seems like to age people out. Like rock, you still can stay in it.
Yes.
Punk on some level, it's fine. You can be an old punk rocker.
Probably more punk than anything these days. Yeah. They seem to embrace a lot of their forefathers. Whether it's Descendants or I could say Rancid now. They're getting Rancid's kind of old now. I
saw Rancid in concert in like 1995. I'm like, yeah, baby.
Nice.
I love Rancid. I did that year's Lollapalooza. That's what it was. I did that year's Lollapalooza. Nice. Guess who the leads were that year? It was Metallica.
Wow.
Which I cried. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Wow.
Devo. I thought Devo they rocked out. I was shocked.
Devo's incredible live.
They're incredible. They're amazing live.
They're incredible.
I was like, I was like, did I whip it good? Okay, I got it. They was like, oh no, they were much more than that.
They're amazing. They're amazing.
Crazy. And Rancid was great. They were really good. I saw some smaller bands there too, but they were really good. And I was very impressed. And I had done that. And then the next, 6 months later, I saw Jane's Addiction for the first time live.
Oh, God. I've seen Jane's Addiction 6 times, maybe.
Well, Perry Farrell's another one of those. Producer, DJ,
Farrell's awesome.
you know.
That keeps him fresh. He's in so many different styles of music. With Jane's, he's Jane's, but he's not afraid to do. Tom York is like that too. I mean, Radiohead is in like
I love
maybe my
Radiohead.
top 5. I
Yeah.
love them, but I love what they do with other genres and how they mix it in to make it their own. You know, they're embracing Madlib and Dilla and all of these like later people. Even after that, they're always on the forefront of something new, but they're still themselves. You know, they're like the older guys in the club that get it, but they're not trying to be the young guys.
Yes, I do. I like that. I do. I like it. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you because I had this growing up a little bit because I was at one point I was a hair metal person.
Nice.
That strip with long hair and
awesome.
My first band was a rock dance band back in the '90s called Mangina. That was our name. Multigendered, you know, we had like 8 of us, you know, playing rock music and dancing around and
awesome.
I want to ask you, because I got some flack for some of that because I'm Black.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got stories.
And people still forget. It's like, I mean, I've seen King's X back in the day.
Oh,
I saw Living Color when they opened for Rolling Stones in '89. I mean, there are. Oh yeah, they were open for it. It was so Steel Wheelchair. It was wonderful. I'm just saying there are Black folks in rock and all stuff. But anyway, so I just want to hear from you at least. How is it for you? Because you do flip through different genres. Have you had problems in the past at all? Just because they look at you and go, "Wait, he's Black." I mean, your name is Blak Emoji. It could be anything.
Right.
What does it mean for you?
I'll try to keep it under 2 or 3 minutes because I literally talk about being all over the place. I had a one-man show. I put a play on literally 2 years ago in October 2019 called The Influences. And it's all about me growing up in South Jersey and then going to college in Florida, then moving to New York. And there's a constant theme of me growing up, you know, obviously like growing up in my household was, you know, R&B, you know, a lot of Earth, Wind and Fire, Parliament, stuff that still influences me to this day. You know, they were just like, as soon as the new record came out, it was there. And then when my brother got me into more rock stuff, I was like, wow, this is great too. So I was really into Metallica and Anthrax and you know, I wasn't into like a lot of the hair metal stuff, but I was into like the metal that I still listen to, like the Big Four and just all the great rock stuff I listened to growing up. In the 90s just had just incredible stuff, Soundgarden, and we can go on forever. But yeah, it was always that, why are you listening to that white boy music? And that's coming from my brothers and sisters. And I'm like, well, let me give you a little lesson. And I would say, and I would just be just an ass. I'd be like, I love Black music. I love Chuck Berry. I love Little Richard. I love Fishbone. I love Bad Brains. I was that guy. Like, don't ever tell me I don't listen to Black music because you don't understand the roots of rock. And that is our thing. That is the roots of rock and roll. It would be like people just forget the roots. It would literally be like if somebody went up to someone who's Black saying, why do you listen to that white boy music? And they're talking about hip hop. That's how far gone it is. And I say that and people are like, no, it's not the same. I'm like, yes, it is the same. Look at the history. We invented rock and roll. It's what we did. It's just something happened along the line from the 50s to the 60s. And we can go back to when, you know, the white artists would cover it and make it a bigger thing. And sometimes that was really not, a lot of times it was just awful, but sometimes it was done right. And some bands at least paid the respects, you know, like Rolling Stones took all the Delta people to London and England and was like, okay, we're getting our stuff from these guys here. They're here. We're acknowledging it. But so many people did not acknowledge it. And that's where the brainwashing effect came. So I have white people saying that I'm trying to be white. And then I have Black people saying I'm trying to be white. And then years later, you know, Living Color kind of starts to become a bigger thing. And then they're like, oh, we get it now. And it's like, well, yeah, or TV on the radio, we can go on, but it's still almost like it's not taboo. It's still harder to be branded as an alternative artist or a rock artist if you're, you know, a person of color. You know, they want to throw you into the hip hop category. They want to throw you into the R&B category. Sometimes you might have elements of that in your music, but sometimes no, you're doing rock. So it was a struggle. I think as a kid, when Living Color was really big, I was there. I do remember that. So seeing them in the top 10 and seeing them as a kid on Saturday Night Live was like me watching the Beatles on Saturday Night Live. Like I wasn't around when the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan,
Right.
but my Beatles were Living Color. You know, in a weird way, seeing them on TV, they were kind of like my Beatles. Not saying that they sound like them, but just, you know, as a Black kid in the suburbs, trying to just, you know, find your way. Like, yeah, I love R&B, but I also love, you know, I love Sonic Youth. And seeing them just was kind of like okay, you know what? I know what I'm doing and I'm going to do this, you know. I was in a rock band before Blak Emoji, and I started Blak Emoji just because I was just I was in that band for like 10 years and I loved the band, but I felt like, okay, I'm done with the 2-guitar loud rock sound. However, I'm going to take this thing. I don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't even have a name. I didn't have Blak Emoji yet, but I knew I would. I just wanted to record, and I was on some like, I just want to dance and I want to embrace like what's happening now, whether, you know, the stuff with Travis Scott and Mike Will, but I also want to embrace Human League and 1999 Prince and Depeche Mode. Like I wanted to be more like my 80s new wave thing mixed with my alternative rock stuff, mixed with what's happening with pop and R&B now. I didn't know what I was doing. I was crazy. People thought I was crazy. And then it just clicked. I was like, I don't care. I was like, F it. I'm going to do this. If no one listens to it, fine. But Blak Emoji kind of stuck more. It was definitely more successful for me critically and more successful for me money-wise. I was kind of surprised. I wasn't expecting it, but it was just like, this was it. This is what I was meant to do. And I'm just going to ride it out. I can go out and make an avant-garde instrumental album with Blak Emoji and I don't care. And it's fine. You know, it's all right. Ooh, yeah, that was a long answer.
I love that answer. But no, because on my latest album, I have 3 or 4 80s inspired songs. And cool. When I get the little, from Spotify, especially when they give you little analytics, they're the most popular songs. I'm like, I made them. Yeah, I wrote them. We put the music. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I'm thinking this song will be bigger and this song will be bigger. And it was like, oh, my number 1 song on the album on Spotify is that song, and that's okay.
You never know. I mean, the Weeknd's killing it with that. Blinding Lights sounds like something that came out of a John Hughes film, and it's brilliant. It's one of the biggest pop songs since like freaking Beat It. Like it's that huge. It's a perfect song, and they embrace all the keyboard sounds. I was like, that sounds like a Juno. You know, I love it, but it sounds like today too. You know, it's a beautiful mix of yesterday and today. And I think people growing up now, they're listening to singles and they're listening. It's not so weird. For me, it was weird. I was like, yeah, I listen to Joni Mitchell, Prince, and Metallica, but it's not so weird anymore. There's a lot of kids that actually do like Prince and Slayer. You'll be surprised.
Yeah. Well, you bring up a good point with the Black. I just want to touch on this a little bit, the Black thing. I have to explain to people, you know, like with country music too. You know, why is that Hootie and Blowfish guy doing country music? I'm like, you forget that Black folks started country also.
Yeah.
R&B, like it's just you guys don't. They just don't know. When I mentioned when they wear the T-shirt that says "Bad Brains" on, do you even know what the band is? And do you know who they are? Do you know what?
I know. Yeah.
It's like, you know, they say that. I read a thing with like a lot of these kids buy the Ramones T-shirts, don't even know who they are at this point. They just like the shirt. They know it's like kind of.
It's a fashion thing now. It's kind of like,
But I was like with the Bad Brains, especially, I'm like, it's like you forget that in the specials, half of them are Black. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen.
So underrated.
And they all split it off to Fine Young Cannibals and all these other groups later. And I mean, it's like, you guys don't understand. There were a lot of Black folks, you know, in rock, in punk, in new wave, that were right in front of you. You weren't either paying attention or you just don't know the history. I mean,
I hope to get bigger, but I don't even need to get bigger, I guess, to do this. But I want to have stuff like what Ken Burns did for jazz, what Ken Burns did for, you know, whatever style. We need that for the roots of rock and roll. We need that for the whole new romantic thing. We need that to show people that it just wasn't like a little bit of a Black presence in a genre. No, it was deep. It's huge. You know, I love it when a film like a band called Death, who I didn't even know about. I never heard of those guys. So I was like, they're Black. This proto-punk thing before the Ramones, and the whole story of how they did this, and it went nowhere. And then the guy passes away and his kid hears it at a party, you know, and then they become successful. You know, it's an amazing story, and it's an amazing piece of history that a lot of people did not know. So we need this to be preserved. You know, we have a lot of preservation for hip hop. We have a lot of preservation for jazz, but we don't have a lot of preservation for rock and roll for our people. And unless that keeps happening, unless we have a rock and roll museum for that specifically, they have it for jazz, they have it for hip hop. I'm just repeating myself, but I'm saying that for a reason, that people need to make sure that Chuck Berry is a household name like Elvis Presley is. It may not happen, but we need to make sure that he doesn't go ghost. You know?
Well, I know he beat Tina, but Ike Turner, they say basically Rocket 88 is what started off. So I mean,
yeah.
I know there's debates and stuff, but either way, he was involved. But either
he
way,
was
he was a Black person involved at that time.
Yes.
Regardless of whatever.
Regardless of what happened, and he was damn good at it.
He was good at it.
He was damn good at it.
Like all those Black men beat their women back then. They all did. I mean, James Brown, they all beat their women. They're all
I know.
I mean, I just went and saw Respect the other day, and Aretha Franklin's father slapped her a couple of times, and the man was beat. They all beat. They did. Not saying I condone it at all, but like it's one of those kind of things where it's almost like you have to kind of almost separate a little bit and just go, okay, well, the music, they were talented. Maybe they were tortured. Maybe at that time, who knows? But like but you have to still, the influence is still there. When the influence on society, culture.
Absolutely.
So you can't deny it. I mean,
no.
So Al Green had grits thrown on him. You know, but Al Green again is still another, you know, him, Isaac Hayes, there's always these folks who were doing music and changing genres and going back and forth and hitting it, and they were Black. They were Black. Right. They were talented. And I look back at some of those people, I go, I couldn't imagine being a Black man at that time period. It's hard enough for us to be Black men today.
It's a pain now. Back then, they really took one for the team for us. My favorite guitar player, and look, everybody knows Jimi Hendrix. He's the guy. But my favorite guitar player is Ernie Isley. The Isley Brothers are probably the longest running rock and roll band period that you can think of. These guys were around, late 50s?
Yes.
And they're still recording. And their last single is actually pretty good. You know, the man is 80 years old and he's still singing. When he did the verses, I was like, no. So you're talking about a band that their twist and shout, they're both of those songs. And they are just part of American rock culture. And it's kind of like, I love that they're still around and they get props, but it almost pisses me off that people just put them so much in the Quiet Storm category. I'm like, yes, the Quiet Storm stuff is perfect. You know, Make Me Say It Again, Between the Sheets, we can go on and on. But the best thing about the Isley Brothers is that they could just do the Moonlight stuff and flip it. And then you got Ron freaking screaming, you know, he was screaming Fight the Power. He was screaming Live It Up. There was guitar solos relentlessly in almost every Isley Brothers song. There is rock and roll as American rock and roll gets. We need an Isley Brothers doc. We need those guys. Once again, we need to really just embrace the people that put us here in that genre.
My cousin Erin, her uncles are the Isley Brothers. So she's always all the time. So they're not my uncles, they're her, the other side of the family. And she's always with them because back before the pandemic, they were still touring regularly. As you said, they were touring regularly. She was always backstage, hugging. She was with Ron the other day for her birthday. They were having dinner together. So I don't know him myself, but that's her side of the family. She's
it's my dream to see the Isley Brothers. Somebody asked me in an interview, like, who do you want to see live? And I'm like, well, there's plenty of people I want to see live, but I really have a list. Like, I want to see the older heads because you don't know what's going to happen. Tom Waits and the Isley Brothers are the two that I want to see the most.
You will
right now.
Right. Side note for me, a person that before he passed was Bobby Womack. I was a big fan of his work, He put an album out before he died, The Bravest Man in the Universe. I tell people all the time, check that album out.
Damon.
67 years, yeah, he did it. 67 years old. 67 years old. And you can hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
You can hear it in his voice.
He's our Black Johnny Cash. Like, he's that dude. Yeah, and it's kind of like, but there it is again. And no disrespect to, I'm a Damon freak. I love Blur. I love Gorillaz. I love everything he does because he does it with respect. He doesn't do it to come in and, I'll keep my mouth shut because I don't want to name certain people, but I like what he's done. He doesn't do it in a Graceland way. Wait, what? Who said that?
Oh my goodness. There you go. I love it.
So my thing is,
I love it. I got a bell. I love it.
So my thing is, it's like, man, no one's really bringing this man out. And he did it. He was like, you need to do an album. Questlove said something like, what Jack White did with Loretta Lynn. Yes. Like, how come we're not doing it? So he did that with Al Green. Like, we need to keep doing that. And it's a good album. I like that Bobby Womack album. Yeah, it's the first time I listened to Lana Del Rey, and I was kind of like, oh, I get it now. Like,
yeah. Well, it's like, side note on David Albert, it's like touch you forever. Side note on David.
I know, it's great.
I laugh about Blur because Blur is part of that Britpop thing that came out, and the beginning of the career was with Country House, and there was a very different sound. When Song 2 came out, was towards the end of their career. That was towards the end, and it was very rock and roll. It was very grungy.
It was hard.
They came out against kind of growing grunge was big, and played the soft kind of rock music. It was kind of fun and bouncy and very British.
Very British.
Then when Song 2 came out towards the end, it was like,
yeah.
Where'd that song come from? Which is
their most American song, and that was their
biggest. Totally.
Great album too. Great album.
Great album. But I think it's guys. I know I can talk to you about that. It's kind of funny how the sound was almost like a full circle moment. It was like you were beating grunge at one time, and then you came at the end. You put out a grunge song that was just like kind of great time. I want to play one. I'll play this song. Okay, so this song is called "Float." It is out now. I'm telling you, it's in my rotation.
Sitting up to the voice inside my head. Tell me you do it again. What's it gonna take to trust? Reconnect this connection. No time to compromise correction. Quarterback and searching for love before the sun. Slowly edge toward the fire. Close but I don't burn. Take advantage, not regret of what I have today. In my fingers, stop it good or go away. Just saying that you're gonna sing it all the time.
That song is so good. I'm telling you, it sounds like I'm hearing 20 different influences, and I'm hearing similarities what's out now a little bit. I'm hearing everything. It's modern, but also I hear other things in the past. And now I'm talking to you, and I'm getting a full picture.
Yes.
It is so catchy and hooky that I'm just like, how'd you come up with that? It's crazy. It is this. So I played this song at least. I think I played it at least 100 times at this point. I mean,
goodness.
It's just so infectious. I can't stop playing it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I get a lot of props with the chorus. Everyone's like, how'd you come up with that chorus? I'm like, I don't know. That's definitely one. And Swooning on You too. Both of those, I had the music for a while. Float, I had the music. I had the music for that for a long time. It's probably like great. 6 months. And I was just tweaking it, certain sounds. And, it definitely kind of has more of like, it's like a house, but industrial.
Yes, I love. Yes.
Pop thing going on there. The lyrics is all last year. It's just basically about, the pandemic hit us. And I was kind of like, well, all right, well, that's taken away. This is taken away. What do I have? I'm like, you know what, man, I'm good. I know it's not popular to say, but I had a great time last year. I just embraced what I had. There's a struggle. There's always a struggle. And I lost people from COVID. That hurt. That hurt a lot. So, but I was like, okay, well, I'm here. What do I have? And what can you do in life? And I'm looking back of what I did and what I accomplished, and I'm writing what I want to accomplish. And I'm like, you know what? I am good. Life is a fragile thing. So you might as well have the best time. What else are we here on this planet for? just do the best that you can as far as making yourself happy. You know, that's it. Try to just do whatever you want in life without hurting other people. That's float. And that all was just like, finally the lyrics just came bam. And in like one day, I finally got all the melodies and the lyrics, and then it was done.
I had a struggle last year with, my creativity was great. I mean, I was home. Yeah. I stayed home. LA was locked down. I wrote. But at first, I struggled of releasing stuff. I was like, "What, should I release it? Do they have any money? Do they have any time?" And I was told by the musician, who's a DeBarge, my friend Chris. He's up there in New York, and he told me, he goes, "James, put it out. People need something to take their mind off what's going on, and if they have a couple of dollars, they will spend it if they think it's worth it for a spin, or they'll spend that subscription money and play your song." Like, he goes, it's your duty almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Was that something for you? Did you have any struggle putting stuff out? Maybe you put out that album, but did you think about it, or you're like?
I think that's why I put out an instrumental album, because I was like, I don't know what to say. I'm not comfortable yet. There's like maybe 2 songs on there, 3 songs on this album, Antidote, and that was just like, again, I was on tour. I was on a solo tour. I went to Paris, and that was cool, but it was starting to get a little like, okay, something's happening, but I'm meeting people and we're just hugging and kissing all over each other, like whatever. It's just like, this is great. And so by the time I got to London, it was starting to really get around, like there's something happening. And I was getting these texts and calls when I was coming back, and they're like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm still in London." They're like, "Trump's closing the border like tomorrow." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm on a plane now. There's nothing I can do." So I made it just before the border closed, and I landed, and it was like, you know, I got a text from the mother of my child, and she's like, "You're good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I landed. I'm great." She's like, "Okay, cool. Get home and get some toilet paper." I'm like, "What?" Okay, so
oh my
fine.
God, that's so funny.
And that's all that happened. And I got home and I was like, "Oh, that's what she means by toilet paper. This is nuts. How come I can find soap? I can find soap, but not toilet paper." But that's a whole nother story. But it was all done. All my jobs are taken away, like everyone's jobs.
Yeah, we all did. We all had
no gigs, no nothing. But I just was like, well, I'm just gonna make music. And it was therapeutic. I didn't know what else to do, but I also didn't know what to say. And I was like, well, this is my time to put out my Trent Atticus meets Eno meets, Flying Lotus stuff that I've always wanted to put out.
Oh, Flying Lotus. Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's a genius. So that was the opportunity for me to just say, F it, and I'm going to do this. There's one song called Dance Dusk Till Dawn, and it's like maybe the whole thing is dance dusk until the dawn. Life still goes on. Don't stop living. Keep on dreaming, or something. Like, that's the whole song. That's all I say. There's another song called Quarantine, and that's just me talking about what happened, but it's got like the slow Camille voice on it. And people were like, "Whoa, who is this?" I'm like, "That's me." So that was fun. But the rest of it was kind of like, I was just in a vibe, like an instrumental type of thing. I wanted it to sound like the apocalypse, but feel like a warm blanket at the same time. That was how I was expressing myself. But I was writing other stuff. I wrote Float. I wrote Swinning on You. But there was like, okay, this is the stuff that's going to be for my next album, which will come out in 2021. And that's, here we are now. And I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable enough to put the other stuff that I was recording at that time. But in the beginning, I was like, I don't want to sing. I don't want to sing, but I want to create.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I put out an album last year called Songs from a Dark Place. It was
title.
Me, a machine, and the keyboards. And it was very unpolished. I did it on purpose.
Awesome.
It got a lot of attention. I was like, people are feeling sad. People are feeling many things. I'm going to commiserate with them.
Yeah, but that's beautiful. Like,
but it took time, like you said, to find what it is you're going to birth.
Yeah.
Yeah, for everybody's something different. You was an instrumental album. For me, it was kind of dark, minimalist album. It was like we had to find it. We had to find what we were going to put out into the world.
Yeah,
that was comfortable for us.
See, that's amazing, because like I wanted to do something like that, but I just couldn't I didn't know how. Like you did it in a way like, okay, I'm going to express myself and I'm going to sing this and that. But that's brilliant because look, you know, we do need music. We need all different styles. You want the happy stuff to keep you happy, but you want the dark, sad stuff that makes you feel comfortable. I remember being that depressed kid and listening to The Cure, and that made me feel better because I felt like I'm not alone. Someone else is saying this, and maybe I'm okay. Maybe I am semi-normal because somebody else is connecting you with you. You know, your energy is in this other person's brain, and it's beautiful. So I have to listen to that album. So I'll check it out.
Yes, I'll send you some links. I could talk to you forever. It's been an hour.
Same.
You'll just have to come on again when the album comes out.
I would love to.
When the album comes out, I will listen to it. Of course, I'm going to get it. You're going to listen to it, and we'll talk about the tracks and talk about the album. That's what we'll do. We'll set it. We'll just that when your album comes out, because you're going to finish. You're going to finish those 2 tracks. You're going to get the album. You're going to be fine. I'm sending you all the positive energy. You're going to do it.
Thank you.
You're going to get it out there because the world needs to hear it.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
It's your duty. They need to hear it. Blak Emoji, Kelsey Warren. Where can they find you on anywhere? So it's your chance to promote.
Absolutely. Blackemoji.com, but it's a BLAK emoji. So it doesn't get mixed up with all the billion other black emojis.
This way.
The other. Wow. This way.
You know what I mean, folks? You know what I mean?
Not them.
Not them.
Yeah. But so it's a BLAK emoji, blackemoji.com. It's a BLAK .emoji for Instagram, and everything else is just at Blak Emoji.
Yes, and I'll put the link, of course, and stuff in the bio.
Thank you.
Below, of course. And yeah, follow him and see what's going on. His website's really easy to navigate. Everything is on there. So I say go ahead and check that out. For me, you can follow me. We're all James Lott Jr. Just sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. And on TikTok, yeah, I'm on there too.
Nice.
I do stuff on there. But my music's out for everywhere too. You can get it anywhere like his. Go on Spotify. Go on Apple. Go on Google. Go where you find music. Check him out. Check what he's doing out there. Check out that EP and that album. And get ready for the next one. It's coming out in October. It'll be October 1st. And I'll be promoting it on my channels. Everyone, music. Support the arts, support the arts, support the arts. They're just as important as anything else in our society. They bring people together. They're great educational tools.
Yes.
And sometimes they just make you feel good.
Yes.
So,
this was what the art was thriving during the Great Depression. It was thriving during the Renaissance for a reason. So, especially indie artists. Support the indie people.
Yeah, next, because that's what we are. So yes, exactly. So more fun. To go outside your comfort zone and see what else is out there. And also sometimes on Spotify, they'll say there's all these other artists kind of, and Apple too will say to check them out. Hit it, click it. I found music. I'm like, I love this. Who is this? I'm like, who are they? And then I go down the rabbit hole and start start their music. But that's the thing. Hit it. Just see what if they say they're similar to what you're listening to already. Check them out. You just seriously, you never know. I talked to an artist, BB Man. I heard his song at Starbucks like 7 years ago, and I stalked him down and had him on this show years ago. Just because I heard one song at Starbucks, and I was like, Shazam that! I did my little phone, Shazam, and now he's kind of blown up. But I'm just like, it's kind of funny. It's like, just take a chance. Take a chance out there, because we love being artists, we love being creatives, but if no one hears you, it's just you doing it. So please go out there and support the art.